is the advancement officer for University of Ibadan. He will be speaking to us later in the day. You're welcome, sir. Can we celebrate him? Thank you so much. Now, the title before us, Effective Records Building and Management in Nigerian Universities. Effective records building. And you know, one of the principal functions of a registrar is record keeping. And not just keeping it now. We need to know how to build it. And you need to know those things that are mandating you and I to continue to keep record. So those are the things we'll be seeing during the course of this interaction. Thank God we have done all the introduction, so we can move on. So what are the objectives? We are to underscore the importance of records in the university system. We will also stress the legal implication of record keeping. We will be equipping administrators with the requisite skills in record management. So also we are going to profile far-reaching solutions to the perennial problems in record keeping. And I want to say now, these days, things are changing. If your students are asking for transcripts and they can't get, they will blackmail you. They can say all manner. You may think that, oh, I have graduated before you were born, but that is for you. They don't care. The generation we are working with, they don't care. They want instant answer to all their questions. So, now, record building and keeping. When does it start? When do you start keeping record? Now, there is a video there. No, back to it. That video is about a shuttle. Okay, it's not playing. Now, the moment you are recruited, the moment you get into the system, record building starts. Until you leave the system, you must continue to build and keep records. So, the moment you enter into the university system and as an administrator, you must continue to build records. And you have to keep them. So, now, why do you have to keep record? Underscoring the importance. I don't know how many of us will know this man. He was a Speaker of House of Rep in those days. His name was Salisu Buhari. And that was how the story of University of Toronto started. This man at that time said, oh, I graduated from Toronto. But because University of Toronto has adequate record, they were building their records, they could debunk that statement instantly. So, it's not limited to us here in Nigeria. You may be familiar with the story of Scott Thompson, CEO in Yahoo. Now, this man claimed to have what he never had. He said he had a degree, he never had it. So, if there are no records, there is no way you'll be able to tell the truth. And that's the essence for you and I to make sure that wherever we are placed, it doesn't matter. You may be in exams and record, you may be in council affairs, you may be in this or that. Your principal aim there, make sure whatever you are doing today, somebody can benefit from it tomorrow. Make sure you don't toy with that information, because that will save the university a lot of embarrassment in the near future. So, there is also the story of one man called Gregory Probert. So, this man, he claimed also in his CV, he said he had so and so, but they found him out. Why? Because those who found him out, they had good records. So, in our universities, you must make sure you build it purposely. You build it so that you want to defend your university at all times. You want to defend your job, that you are there. They must know the reason why you have been appointed. I don't know whether anybody is from Uniport. This is not to embarrass this university. But 1,000 Uniport students in certificate forgery, they were discovered many years ago. School authority calls in the police as investigation of the biggest certificate scam at the University of Port Harcourt begins. Tension is now brewing in the University of Port Harcourt in Rivers State following the discovery by the authorities that about 1,000 final year students gained admission into the institution with fake West African examination, WAEC certificates. So it happens everywhere. But with good records, you can bring them. You can bring them out of your system. So some staff of the institution are said to be at the center of what? Of the problem. So Mama Ladipo was saying that many of us are not loyal. The moment anyone, if you are interested in just the peanut that you get immediately, it can damage the name of that person. It can damage the name of the university. You can imagine 1,000 students being caught to have fake admission. So, you can move on. Now, you are all familiar with the fact that we are all secretaries of one committee or the other. There is no way, there is no two way about it. You will forever serve as secretaries. They will create one committee or the other. So, you must ensure that you are relevant. And how can you do that? Professional administrators, you must continue to build and keep the essential parts of the records that you have. Make sure you keep them. Now, it has been so easy. With all our facilities, we have email, we have this, we have that. It's so easy now to keep some of these vital records. If you have a report of your committee, it's possible for you to save that report forever in your email. You can save it. Google Drive now can contain it. OneDrive can contain it. You can keep such things forever. Anytime they ask you, make sure it is the signed copy that you scan and save there. Just make sure anytime they ask you, just go to your OneDrive, you just go to your Google Drive, you bring it out. So things have been made very easy. Now, I don't know how many of us were familiar with this act. Freedom of Information, FOI Act. I don't know, are you familiar with it? You have read it before. How many of us? Now, the essence of bringing this out is that it is mandatory for every university to keep record. So that you don't keep that record is even an indictment on your university. So, as a matter of fact, we must ensure that we keep those records, vital records, on daily basis, on weekly basis. Make sure you do it because it is mandatory. A public institution shall ensure that it keeps records and information about all its activities, operations, and businesses. That means it's illegal for you not to keep record for your university. So let us assume maybe there is a matter before the court now, and they say, bring up so and so record. And the university is finding it so difficult. Why? Because some people could not do so. Now I want to tell you that that means when it's written in the law, it is mandatory for our university to ensure that such records are kept. A public institution shall ensure the proper organization and maintenance of all information in its custody in a manner that facilitates public access to such information. The court can mandate you to provide any information at any time. If it's requested, you are mandated to provide such an information. A public institution shall cause to be published in accordance with subsection. When you read the act, I deliberately brought it out so that you can be familiar with that act. It is then that you will know that it is mandatory for your university to ensure that you keep records. We can go on and on that particular. You can move on. So, now let's define a few words there. Building is the act or business of assembling materials into a structure. For instance, we are in this building now. It was purposely built. So also record building. So also you purposely do it. You build your records. So, Cambridge Dictionary defines a record as a piece of written information about something that is kept so that people can refer to it later. So whatever you are keeping, whatever is vital to you that you are keeping, people can refer to it many, many years. You remember Mrs. Ladipo said, Chief Ladipo said that the minutes of 1950 something that she read, you can imagine. So if the people who worked then did not keep such minutes, how would it be possible for her to access such records? So wherever you are, make it a point of duty to ensure that you save your university from any form of embarrassment. And the best way to do it is to ensure that your records are properly built and kept. Now, Harvard Corporation defines a university record as recorded information, regardless of physical form, regardless of physical characteristics, created, received, and recorded. Mark those words. Physical form, regardless of physical characteristics. So, now, there was a time a community gave our university a piece of land. They were proposing to give us. We had to record the event. Now, that video is a form of record. It's not just document. That video, at that time, is in our safe now. We kept it in our fireproof safe. Why? Because it can be referred to later. Let me make you smile a little. There was a man who wanted to, he went abroad, he studied, and came back to his community. Now, he came to his community, he wanted to own a piece of land. And, usually in our area, you will always find a tree in front of each house. And under that tree, they will always gather in the evening to come to play all manners of game. So, this man bought palm wine, he bought whatever. And as if he was entertaining them for giving him a piece of land. Now he recorded, they were all happy. At the end, when the man just started to build his house right on that particular land, and the people said, who gave you this land? What are you saying? You forgot the day you gave me land and I bought palm wine for all of you. And by the time they got to court, he presented that. He said, this was what we did, this was what I bought to entertain all of those people who gave me the piece of land. Lo and behold, the house is still standing. Why? Because that man was able to produce an evidence. So it's better for us not to keep false evidence now, but ensure that we keep genuine evidence. So that man was able, that house is still standing up to today. Let's move on. Now, University of Adelaide defines a record as an act of something, a collection of information, a compilation of facts, something that is written or otherwise set down in a way that preserves its content. A record is anything that provides tangible evidence of information or past events. This may be an email, letter, laboratory book, diagram, photograph, set of lecture handouts, payment receipt. There was a time Dr. Awochusi was invited as a registrar to come and testify to a matter in court. And then the matter was relating to falsification of age. Then the court said, bring the personal file, the student file of that particular man. And by the time the personal file, the student file of that man was brought to court, they said, where did this man use his own hand to write his date of birth? By the time they proved the matter back and forth, whatever, we lost the case. We lost that case. Why? Because that young man did not use his own hand to write down his date of birth at the date of when he was entering the university. That was how the case was lost and won. So, records, something that we consider intangible at that time when the students were coming in, was used against the university. So, please let's be careful in building our records. So, what is record? Now, that act defines records as any memorandum, book, map, plan, drawing, diagram, pictorial, or graphic work or other document, any photograph, film, or recording. You know, I was talking about video. So all of those things, make sure you guard them. Make sure you keep them appropriately. So, types of record, they can be electronic, they can be paper-based, other tangible forms that can be tenable as evidence. So records can be created. You can receive them. You ensure that you retain them. As long as it is relevant, retain them. So then you retrieve as and when due. So it's better for us to document what we are keeping as records. Document so that people can know. If you have an index, it's going to be easy for you to access that record at any point in time. If you go to the library now, when you go there, you see what they call OPAC. As soon as you enter, you will see all the books they have in the library. Now, in administration too, we should begin to think of that. We should begin to look at how we can document what we have in our records. When you are handing over in an office, you must be able to let the next person know that this is what I inherited, this is what I added, and all of these things. We can continue to pass them on and on. So two major types of administrators in terms of record keeping. One, first has a system for managing their records. They make the capture of records into their university files a part of their daily routine. They do it regularly. Now, the second kind believes it is too hard. I want to tell you, record keeping is not easy. It's not easy. Somebody may feel it's too hard and then you leave it. Somebody will do it, and before you know what is happening, vital records are lost on daily basis. So they pile documents up in their offices with no other organization to them. Let's order our records. Let's keep them appropriately. So now I will talk briefly on generation gaps. You know, the people who fought the World War 1922 to 1943. Then another one, baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z. Now, I will let you know why I'm talking about them. We must not spare any effort in retrieving and storing vital records with baby boomers. They are leaving the system any moment from now. Many of them, 60s, they are leaving the system. So, as much as possible, that's the reason why we are bringing all of these generals together now. Some things you will hear during this period, you may not come across any of such things in any book. So we need to get as much information from them as possible. And as many of such records that are with baby boomers, get them from them. Then generations Y and Z, these are largely people. They know how to use technology. They can embarrass your university easily. As soon as they ask anything and you are unable to provide, they can go on Twitter, they can go on Facebook to embarrass. They don't care whether this is my university or what. No, they don't care. All they want is just like tantalizer or whatever. They want it served, right? And anytime they ask for any information, you must provide it. If you don't do it, in fact, I was reading one not too long ago. She sent an information because we did not reply instantly. She said, this is my reminder. The next one, you will say, this is my second reminder. That's the way they talk. They don't care whether you are old or you are young. No, it doesn't care. They don't care at all. So what matters to them is you must give it to them when they want it. So they are fast. They are knowledgeable. And they want everything instantly. They are the most connected network. They can network anything on WhatsApp, whatever. They can spread information, false information before you know what is happening. You will be grappling with that if you don't do what they want. Their influence transcends their years. They can cause your institution enormous tear and damage. Members of generations Y and Z can cause a big trouble for any institution who fail to offer them their needed records. So, classification of records now, administrative, academic, then financial records. You know, the financial records are usually with bursary and audit. However, the ones that come to you, you need to guide them because a time is coming when you may need such records. Now, what are the ideal records management techniques? Records are created deliberately. Make sure you do it deliberately. It must be part of our schedule. Make sure you keep them deliberately. Then, records are regularly captured. In fact, I have, when I was in exams and record in State University, what we were doing was to ensure that every week we file our week. Make sure that nothing goes to another week. Make sure that everything that you have generated that week, everything is filed. So if you don't lead your team, there is no way you will not know whether they are doing exactly what you want. So make sure every week you ensure that you file whatever you have generated. Then systematic disposal of outdated records must be encouraged. Systematic now. You must be very careful when you are disposing records. I will also let you know what happened recently from one university very soon. Access to relevant records is essential. Records must be locatable or readily accessible. Then management of university records must be properly planned and executed. Now, inside that cycle, there is a cycle. The time you create it, when the records are active, when the records are inactive. From inactive records, you move to a final disposition. In that final disposition, you can know whether this one will go to archive or whether you are going to destroy. Now, there is another caveat. Some universities, they sell old records. We will get there. It's a very dangerous trend. Be very careful with what you dispose. Particularly, you are getting out, if those things are getting out of the university, be very careful. So, why keep records? These are the reasons why you and I must ensure that we keep our records. You must be accountable. For decision making, you need to know what happened in the past so that can be a guide for the future planning. Now, for employment purposes, for guidance, you can also use records to guide. When you pick up a student file, you will know. If in that student file you have all the records, maybe he has committed one offense or the other. By the time you pick up that file, you know exactly what that student is all about. You will know essentially how to inform or to guide him. Information bank, planning, student academic achievement. Then for timetabling and supervisory purposes. Now, those are the 4 classes of records. Active. By the time you are still moving the records here and there, sometimes it will enter into semi-active, inactive records, archival records. So now, I mentioned this before. That's the certificate of a university. It was found in the street. What happened? It must have been as a result of maybe, some certificates are issued in error. Some, maybe the name is spelled incorrectly, the name, one thing or the other. It may be an error. Now that certificate is returned, and then by the time they are disposing, the certificate found its way into the street. And then they started to use WhatsApp or whatever to circulate everywhere. Hey, Lagos State University certificate on the street. Why? If you are not careful with the disposal of your record, that is the kind of embarrassment that can come to your university. Now, let's be very careful. Somebody wrote us recently, said, I want to buy your old records. I told my vice chancellor, he said, I want to offer 15,000 per ton. I said, what is 15,000 naira to a ton? What is a ton? A ton is 1,000 what? 15,000. So because of 15,000 now, you come and embarrass us. I said, no. So if you must sell out anything, make sure you shred them. Shred the papers. If you can go through the hog, then shred. If you can't, please, as a matter of fact, make sure that your disposal is properly planned so that you will not be embarrassed. You can shred, you can burn, you can sell, but selling, be very careful. You can bury, but because all of these papers, if you bury them, the time is coming, they will become the same thing because they are from trees, isn't it? They will eventually become soil. So termites will eat them easily. So university records must be destroyed if they relate to, must not be destroyed if they relate to any investigation. Now, for the first time in our university, visitation panel just came in. Perhaps we have destroyed those records. What are we going to be presenting now? They are asking for our minutes from inception to date. Do you understand me? So let's be careful. Guide your records very well. So you must guide them. If they relate to any investigation or legal action, you must not destroy anyhow. So let's move on. Now, when you are moving from one office to another, what do? I have had the opportunity of moving from one office to another twice. And during the process, I never lost a single paper. How did I do it? Now, when you are moving materials in the dean's office, you ensure that where you are going, you mark it out. You are moving from dean's office, everything in that dean's office must be moved together. Don't carry anything from secretary's office to join the dean's luggage. You make sure that if you are moving from one house to another, from one room to another, make sure everything you want to pack them, and you say, so, dean's office, box 1 of 6, box 2 of 6. So by the time you do that, by the time you are getting to a new place, it will not be difficult for you to know exactly the kind of record you have moved from one office to another. You know, the kind of records they keep in Vice Chancellor's office is different from the record in the registrar's office. So if you mix them together, at the end, it may not be useful in the Vice Chancellor's office, and the one you have may not be useful to you. So you just begin to lose what you ought not to lose. So document the content, put the documents in appropriate boxes, label and number the boxes as necessary. Move items from specific offices to designated offices. So records in transition must be properly guided. Now people can steal. They can steal records, so be very careful. They can tamper with your records if you are not careful. While in the process of moving from one to another, somebody can quickly change the record. Can say, oh, I was born in so. And then change it or remove some vital things. So let's be careful. Now, this is a very vital thing. Sometimes we disengage people anyhow. The moment you terminate someone's appointment or you dismiss that person, if you are not careful, all the records with that person, the university records with that person, they are lost. Whatever records are in his email, whatever, you just find out that you cannot access that person again. So when you are disengaging people, be very careful. Vital records of any university are in the hands, desktop computers, and laptops of its members of staff. When a staff is leaving an organization, it is better to ensure smooth handover of valuable records to the supervisor. Many electronic records are trapped in the email boxes of staff. Now, I have a recommendation on that. When you are in a university, particularly I was glad when I met someone who said he's an IT staff and is part of the team from Bayelsa, I guess. Now, there is a lesson here that I want you to learn. When you assign email addresses, make sure you assign the official one for those who are not like me now, register at ron.edu.ng. Now, I have a personal one, Akindele at ron.edu.ng. Now, I use the Akindele for personal things, the official ones, so that now the records passed on to me from my predecessor I can have access to. So the dean in a particular office must be able to have dean so, and his own personal email. So there should be a delineation between both email addresses. Because by the time he's leaving, you may not have access to that personal email address. Usually when such a person is leaving, the IT will block him. Isn't it? Within 1 week or two, you just find out that that email is rendered redundant. You don't have access to it again, and then all the vital information might have been lost. So let's continue. So, I think I've spoken about it. Paper records are found in the desk drawers, desktop, filing cabinets, cupboards, wardrobes, shelves, and fireproof safes. Then electronics, PCs, laptop, removable hard drives, USB sticks, CD, DVD, floppy disk. I think floppy disk is gone now. We don't have it again. So email accounts, share servers, then cloud computing. Let me make you smile again. I was at an interview so many years ago, and I was asked, what is cloud computing? And they started laughing at me. You see, computers in the cloud, they were just... So after I left the place, I called my son. I said, son, teach me what is cloud computing. So since then, wow. So the examples are Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox. So if you have not been using this before, as administrators, go and learn about them. Now there is a site called WikiHow. If you go to WikiHow, you can be taught anything. Just type it, and then you step by step on how to use all of these things. You will find it on WikiHow. So what are the challenges now? Unskilled personnel at lower and supervisory levels, if you don't learn it. Now, do you know one thing in the medical field? They don't have problems with records. I don't know how many of us are familiar with that. They don't have problems with record keeping in the health center, in the hospitals. Why? Because deliberately they send staff to go and learn record keeping. So we have not been doing this in the registry, and that's why this is a very crucial topic for us. So frequent deployment of records officers. But I learned one thing from OAU. OAU, they don't deploy their record officers. In transcript, they don't deploy them. They are there. Why? Many years. If you ask of so, they know who that person is. Even when that student was entering the university, it was that same person that brought in the file. So such a person is there for many years. So they don't deploy at OAU. They don't deploy their record officers anyhow. Am I right? Our people from OAU. So I noticed that when I went for a study visit there, they brought to me the file of our general overseer. When I in 1960s now, he started from UNN and then concluded at OAU, University of Ife. Then they brought out his file easily, with ease. They just brought the thing out. So that's exactly what I want all of us to be able to do from now. Now, inadequate space and facilities. I saw something in one time I was at University of Reading. Now, they have a kind of shelves that you can, this very small room, those shelves are rotated, they just wind it like this, and then they move and move and move. Then within a short place like this, you can keep about 4. So when they need anything, they bring that one out. As soon as they take what they need there, they wind it, and then the thing will retract to the former place. So that is also possible. I know very soon we will also get there. So talking about space, that kind of facility can help us. Then personnel disloyalty. People come to registry to come and bribe them, to ask, oh, please, I need information in my file. Can you help me? Can you help me? Please, as many of us that are here, don't do it. Because whatsoever you take is just on the short run. The long run of it is that when the shame comes, one will not like it. So please be loyal to the system. Because if you do well on this system, on your present level, very soon, you are going to be flying very soon. So, lack of record manual, no staff orientation for record officers, then lack of records retention policy. All over Nigeria, we still don't have that. We don't have record retention policy. We were trying to build our own here, to come up with our own policy. And then I wrote to other universities, I said, please help me. We're in the process of coming up with our own record retention policy. Nobody was able to answer that question. So when we finish our own, by the time you write to us, we'll be able to avail you a copy. But abroad, go to any website abroad, you will find their record retention policy there. Why? They will tell you exactly what they want you to do. When you enter into an office, they give it to you. This is what we expect of you. You must be able to do it. So, what are my recommendations? These are the record keeping starts from onboarding. Onboarding means the day you enter. Then outboarding, when you are leaving. Then official email addresses to members of staff occupying specific offices. Give them official email addresses, then let them have personal email addresses. So ensure that you use personal email address for personal things, an official email address for official matters. Then develop records retention policy. All of us, all our universities, since you are here now, I'm putting it to us that you can suggest it. You can make it happen in your university, that there will be a record retention policy. You can Google and find out from other universities abroad, so that can guide your in the development of your record policy. Now, university archive. Usually, this is located in the library. University archive. When some records spend about 7 years or thereabout, they begin to move them to archive. They move them into archive. They scan. They make sure they do whatever they need to do, and keep them for a very long time to come. Then all staff must keep useful record. Please, these are my suggestions. Conclusion. This lecture has addressed what university records are, why records must be kept, when records must be kept, where and how to keep records. It has also reiterated the benefits of records management. Professional university administrators must not toy with record management. Records are crucial to the growth and relevance of any university. Records properly kept and used can deliver the system from what? Embarrassments. So, finally, whatever is too good to be forgotten or lost must be securely kept for institutional memory. So I want to thank you for listening. God bless you. Thank you so much.